Hey everyone, this is Christopher Brower here with Daily Motor, and today we're driving the 2021 Toyota GR Supra 2-liter 4-cylinder. Now visually this is pretty much the same as the Supra that we got in 2020. Granted, we've got some smaller wheels, smaller engine, but overall it looks pretty much the same. But the question is it worth it? Is it worth it to save the $8,000–$9,000 to get the smaller engine? Or should you just fork up the money for the big dog, the B58 powered 3-liter Supra? Well, we're gonna find out today. We're gonna take this Supra out for a drive on the Daily Motor test route and see what it's like. Right off the bat, I can say that these wheels are not even close to as cool as the wheels that you get on the 3-liter Supra, but that's just me. I think everything else is the same. I think it's just worse wheels is all it is. Because in every other aspect, it looks exactly the same as the 3-liter Supra. Let's take a look at this engine here. Double pull hood release. I do like those. See those a lot on German cars. There it is, the 2-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder engine. Cool little badge right here, Toyota Supra. It's cool that they kept the font from the Mark IV Supra. Or, yeah, Mark IV, I don't know. Last gen Supra had that font as well. No hood insulation, which is very interesting. I was expecting to see a big, like, carpet under here, but we don't have that. So, I guess it doesn't need it? Or they just didn't want to pay for it or something? As far as boot space, got a little button right there. I mean, it isn't great. You can fit like one suitcase in here, maybe like two carry-on bags, but it does say Supra right in the middle of the carpet, so that's pretty neat. This is just like a mat that you probably have to pay extra for, I'm guessing, but pretty cool. There's a lot of just like quarter panel right here, and you don't really have much inwards room here. I wonder what's behind this. Oh, fuse panel and a tow hook and fix a flat kit. Nice. Yeah, no spare tire here in the Supra, but what sports car like this has a spare tire anyways? Got two little handles here, and it shuts easy, just like that. I think the overall styling's not bad. I don't know that I mean, it's a cool looking car. I just don't know if it's a Supra. Like, don't get me wrong, I think the car looks excellent, but when I think of a Supra, when I was envisioning this new Supra, I wasn't really expecting it to look like this, but of course, this car is full of things that we weren't expecting for the newest gen Toyota Supra. So we'll go over some of those while we're on our drive. But I don't know, it's a cool shape, I guess. But anyways, let's hop on in this thing and fire it up. I think it's funny that we have like the old school BMW chime in here, because the new BMW chime is like da 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 da, but this one is the bring. Have like the older. Anyways, when you put it in sport mode, you can hear that the exhaust changes a little bit. I'll give you a little taste of that. We are warmed up. Sometimes you get little pops and burbles. I don't know why we're not getting those right now, but anyways, let's go back into normal mode, and we'll put our windows up because, as you know, or if you don't know, it's impossible to drive this car with the windows down because the wind buffeting is unbearable. If you go at any speed over like 45, 55 miles an hour, it's just seriously unbearable to drive. So luckily we have air conditioning, because we're gonna need that, because you can't really drive with the windows down. Anyways, as far as interior goes, it's okay. I mean, it's really like Toyota just kind of gave BMW a very small amount of money and said, give us what you can do for this amount. So they put in the iDrive selector, the shifter, the climate control panel, the radio buttons, the screen, the door handles, the lock buttons, the window switches, the cluster, the steering wheel, and the headlight switch, and the overhead switches and the rearview mirror from a BMW Z4, I think. Some BMW. Obviously, this car is based upon the BMW Z4 platform. I don't know that all of the interior pieces are specific to Z4, but they are specific to BMW. Everything in here is just BMW. I mean, that's what this car is. And I know that it's very irritating to hear people make comments about that. So I'm going to try and keep that to a minimum, because I don't dislike the fact that this car was made in part with BMW. I just kind of wish that it would have been more unique to Toyota. I have no problem with BMW kind of having a hand in this, but didn't think it would be this much BMW-ish. I mean, even the chime is BMW. It has iDrive. Like, come on, we could have had something a little bit more unique, but whatever. We went over all of that in 2020, so we don't really need to dwell on that anymore. The seats themselves are pretty nice. We've got Alcantara here in the middle. We're trimmed with leather. I feel like these seats are pulled out of a Z4 as well. I'm not confirming that, but I feel like they are. Everything in here is just very dark. You know, we've got a black headliner, which I usually like, but in this instance, I feel like it makes the interior even more claustrophobic. Black headliner, we've got these massive B-pillars that go all the way back to the back of the car. Black seats, black console, black dash, black everything in here. And it feels a little bit cramped, a little hot, a little claustrophobic. And I don't know, I'm really not the biggest fan of the cabin sort of situation in here. The infotainment is fine. I mean, it's just BMW's iDrive. So if you're familiar with that, then you're familiar with the infotainment in this Supra. We've got wireless Apple CarPlay, which is a plus, but the wireless CarPlay only goes on like the left-hand side of the screen. Because I turned split screen off and it's still only on the left-hand side. I thought maybe it would stretch across the whole screen, but it doesn't. All of these buttons are soft touch. BMW climate control system is the same as well. Carbon fiber down here, a little BMW shifter, sport button. That's the extent of our drive modes. You've either got sport or not sport. Anyways, all right, well, enough of all that. Let's go ahead and take this thing out for a drive. Roll my sleeves up here, get some AC going. Take this thing around the daily motor test route and see what it's really like to drive. I've been driving this car now for about 24 hours, so I've got a pretty good idea of what I think about it. But let's go out and take this thing around, and I'll tell you my thoughts on this 2-liter Supra. Now, if I can say one thing nice about this car, is that it is very economical. And you can tell by the way that it drives, because when you're in normal mode, it's absolutely trying its hardest to be in the highest gear possible. I mean, it's taking off in second gear. There you go. 12 miles an hour, it's already into third gear. 19 miles an hour, fifth gear at 20 miles an hour. This thing is just trying its hardest to stay at like 1,000 RPM to be an economical sports car. So if that's what you're shooting for, then this car does a good job at that. It's very sort of German in the way that it does things at low speeds, and the way that it tries to conserve, and the way that the auto stop start works. It shuts off immediately when you hit the brakes. In this instance, it's probably not going to. Yeah, I've just turned the AC on, so it's not going to right now. But luckily we have a little button down here, auto stop start off. It's very easily accessible. The powertrain itself, it's very smooth. The engine and gearbox, I mean, 7th gear I'm in right now at 40 miles an hour by itself. But everything's very smooth. I mean, inputs, everything. It does feel very luxurious and German. I mean, that's just how this car is. It doesn't in any way really feel like any other Toyota, but why should it? Because this car was developed very differently than other Toyotas are developed. Taking off there in third gear. It's very easy to drive this car just like a normal car, but I don't like that, because I don't want to drive this car like a normal car, because I'm in like a shoebox with a couple of windows. It's so dark and claustrophobic in here. I'd almost just prefer this thing to be like raw and crazy to drive, because if I had this car, I wouldn't really want to daily it, to be honest. The ride's not that great. It's, you know, you have your luxurious touch points in here because the interior's BMW-ish. I don't know, this car is just kind of confusing to me, especially in 4-cylinder form. It really just doesn't make a whole lot of sense. But speaking of that 4-cylinder, it is a 2-liter turbocharged unit, that makes 255 horsepower and 295 foot-pounds of torque. That is mated to our 8-speed automatic down here, and that is our only transmission choice. You cannot have a manual transmission with the Supra yet. And I say yet because they've kind of hinted at the fact that they want to put a manual in it. I don't really know why they haven't, because I know that it wouldn't, I mean, why would it be challenging to put a manual in a car like this? This car should have come out with a manual as the base transmission, but it did not. So we're stuck with just an 8-speed automatic. In some ways also, I halfway wish you could get this car with like a Targa roof or as a convertible. I think maybe that would make it better. Wouldn't be so cramped in here. You'd feel a little bit more airy. I feel more cramped in this car than I do in the ND Miata, and the ND Miata is a tiny car. I don't know what it is about this cabin. I got in it yesterday and I was like, holy crap, I feel like I can't breathe in here. But you know, some people like that. I drove one of these around Road America last week and it felt awesome. When you're on the racetrack, it's great. You know, you're in like your little pod and everything's very tight and it feels right. But on the street, I don't really know that it makes that much sense. Especially driving behind a septic tank cleaning truck around the first corner. We don't even get to test it out. You're gonna have to go watch the Winding Road video if you want to see this car go quickly around the first corner. I filmed that like an hour ago. Okay. Yeah, I don't think I've ever merged out of here going 18 miles. Why is there, what is happening right now? What on earth is going on? Oh, there's a Chevy Trailblazer flat towing an F-150. I don't know if you could see that. It's in front of Mr. Septic Tank here. At least that's what it appeared to be. Oh, he's now going over there. Yeah, so this is absolutely a Trailblazer flat towing a Ford F-150, and I thought maybe I could get in front of them, but I'm gonna have to go back behind them around here. Oh, and so is Mr. Septic Tank. I do apologize, sir. This is a very strange vibe today on the test route. But it's kind of proving my point of like, this car is going to be used just in situations like these, driving around town, the 4-cylinder variant at least. I don't know that this is the car that I really want to be in right now. In between a septic tank truck and a very sketchy sort of flat towing situation. And then there's just me in the middle with a 4-cylinder Supra. So, welcome to my world. I don't know if they're going to get out of my way. Are you going to get out of my way? I can't really pass you. Okay, maybe. Yes, here we go. What on earth? Well, if you're wondering, a Chevy Trailblazer is able to tow a Ford F-150, so. All right, here's the rough ride section here. This is just in its normal sort of setting. Yeah, it's bouncy. But that's okay. I really cannot. Oh, here's flat out, by the way. It really revs itself all the way out to 7,000 RPM, even when you're just in automatic mode. 255 horsepower doesn't really seem like much. It isn't slow. It's not fast. 0 to 60 is dealt with in 4.7-ish seconds, a little bit under 5 seconds real world time. So it's really not all that fast. It's around about a second slower to 60 than the 3-liter Supra. So anyways, ride, I'm not going to hate on it for ride. At the end of the day, it's still a sports car. It's not going to ride like a Cadillac. Let's go ahead and put it into sport mode here. See that it immediately downshifts. Exhaust gets a little bit louder. Push over to the left and it locks you into manual mode. A couple pops and burbles there on the down rev. Oh, are we in for a treat today? We've got a big semi and a truck and trailer. The test route, whenever we have fast, I don't want to say this is fast, whenever we have sports cars on the test route, we're always blocked by things. But then when I have a Prius, the test route is wide open. So as long as there's nobody behind me, I might give these guys a little bit of room so I can take this entrance ramp. I couldn't even take it fast in the winding road video, so see if we're able to accomplish that today. We are locked into first gear in sport mode. Try out some manual driving. Oh yeah, okay, we'll be able to give this truck and trailer a little bit of distance here. All right, I think that'll be enough. Here we go. Feel a little bit of engagement from traction control there. And that is an easy 60 miles per hour onto the highway. Very nice performance. I mean, this thing handles awesome. If you were to be doing some sort of like short course with like tight turns and quick straightaways where you can just power out and just, I guess, autocross, this car would be great for that. You don't need to see an autocross because you're out on the track by yourself, of course. Maybe that's where this car fits in and is at home. If you want to just have a fun little autocross toy and you want to save $9,000, then just have the 2-liter Supra. I think in that sense, it makes sense. The sticker on this particular Supra is $48,000. In fact, it's just a hair under. Base price is about $42,000. That technology pack is a $3,500 option. If you want to go up to the 3-liter Supra, prices start at about $51,000, almost $52,000. So it's only a $9,000 price increase to get that B58 sweet BMW inline 6. And for me, that's the only way that I would get the Supra. There's no way that I would buy this thing with the 2-liter inline 4. I feel like the whole point of this car is to have the turbo 6. Of course, back in the day with the Mark IV, you could have the naturally aspirated 2JZ, or you could have the twin turbocharged 2JZ GTE motor. And I think that's kind of what they're doing here. You know, you've got your slower powertrain, your smaller 4-cylinder, and then you've got the big dog, the turbo inline 6. I don't think it would make sense to put a naturally aspirated inline 6. The modern day equivalent of that is indeed a turbo 4. So it is very on brand. It's fitting for the Supra. But I would just spend the extra $9,000 and get the B58. So that's just me. I think to make this car worth it, you gotta have the inline 6. This car is really tough for me because at the $48,000 price point that this car is, there's just so many cars that you could get where you don't have to sacrifice trunk space and visibility, and you can still have the same amount of fun. Like the Veloster N, that thing's like 30 grand. You can save $18,000, or even if you're talking base price, you can save $12,000 and still have just as much fun. Granted, that is a front-wheel drive car, so if front-wheel drive's not your thing, then ignore what I'm saying. I just think that Veloster N, Miata, Golf GTI offers the same amount of fun as this 2-liter Supra for a fraction of the price. So either go with the B58 3-liter Big Dog Supra or just get something else. All right, everyone, we're gonna pull up here and park. We'll do one more little walk around. If you're curious about the JBL sound system or about what kind of gas mileage this Toyota Supra gets, make sure to check out Charlie's videos here on Daily Motor covering both of those things. Yeah, let's use our BMW door handle to get out here. Renaissance Red, they call this. All right, guys, well, what do you think? Comment down below, what Supra combination would you get? Would you get the 2-liter or the 3-liter? What color would you get? Do you like the design of the Supra? Anyways, well, you've heard my thoughts. Thanks again so much for watching. As always, this has been Christopher Brower with Daily Motor. And as always, again, I think, drive on.